We're here in the LEAP lab, and why are we here? Well, we have an awesome LEAP habitat, a bunch of living earth. Just off camera over there is all the plants that we picked out at the greenhouse that you saw earlier. And we're gonna put it all together and make a great habitat for probably a chameleon. Not totally sure what we're gonna be doing with it, but you'll see one way or another. Anyway, let's get to planting. So of course we've got Hillary. She picked out all the plants. She knows all of the things about plants, much more than I do. So I'm gonna ask a bunch of stupid questions while you're doing the planting, and you're gonna be the expert on this while I learn, because our next video, I heard from a little birdie, might be another habitat build, and it might be for my house. So keep an eye out for that one. But Hillary, walk me through your planting process. What are we gonna be doing right here today?
Well, first things first, as we have discussed in our previous videos, gotta start off with a foundation.
So let's do it. How thick do you like to make your foundation of those hydro balls?
About to this level. I'd say maybe 1.5 inches or 2 inches, because you want to be able to give yourself some buffer room in case your enclosure does happen to get overwatered. You want to give yourself a reservoir for that extra water to pool without harming your plants or animals.
Or the substrate itself.
Yes.
Check out the substrate video where we really flood the heck out of a substrate, and that's what we're trying to avoid here.
So next up, important component, screen.
What kind of screen do we use, and what kind of screen can you use?
Honestly, just any old screen is fine. This one seems to be a plastic screen that works well. It was here in the lab and I cut it to size.
So just cut it down so it fits, and then I'm guessing the next step is pretty straightforward as well.
Yes.
Dump your living earth substrate directly on top of the screen. How deep are you going with this?
So I like to have some depth to my enclosures. That's just personal. I think it looks better. But what I like to do to start off is we're not going to be putting all of this in at once. I'm just going to do a little bit of a layer here.
So me being me, I would have ripped the tops off of all of them, dumped it all in, and made it look terrible immediately. So thank you for that little tip and trick.
So now next we're going to start picking our plants out. And since we are doing a chameleon enclosure today, I want to design this with intention for the animal.
So what do we have picked out here?
We're big fans of the Ficus benjamina, so I'm definitely going to include that. This will grow up nicely to fill the space, and it has more sturdy branches too that the chameleons can grasp onto.
Now, I've been reading a lot in different forums and Facebook groups and stuff. A lot of people like to do background plants, mid-ground plants, foreground plants. Do you kind of do the same thing, or what's your design language?
I do. Visually, I think that looks the best, to have the taller plants in the background and then have a gradient of plants to the front, so you can have a range of focuses there. And
fun little places for the animal itself to go.
Yep.
Now, what is this big fella?
So this big fella is a cordyline fruticosa. Again, personal preference. I do like having some pops of color in my enclosure too.
As do I. I mean, as will I in my enclosure.
So this is a nice background plant here. Again, sticking with the taller plants in the background, so they'll fill that space.
Okay. Ficus wants to pay attention. Now, I noticed I remember you guys talking about in the actual video that you guys did at the actual greenhouse, the idea of picking plants that have kind of a lot of room in them. So for a chameleon, what do you like about this plant in particular?
It just provides a lot of cover. It's not an especially delicate plant, so the chameleons are able to grasp onto the leaves here. And then, which brings me to my next point, another important thing to do as far as designing with intention. Chameleons have specially designed feet, so they need sticks on which to grasp. As much as visually I do like this style of wood, this is not suitable for a chameleon because they can't really grab onto it.
It's too big for them to actually get their little hands around.
Yep, so for this enclosure we will be using these carefully harvested sticks that Tim and I picked out from the woods a few weeks ago.
Now these are
thoughtfully harvested.
When we're talking about what's the largest? I mean, what kind of chameleon can we put in here, and then what can they really grasp onto? Because that's about, I don't know, 1/2 inch-ish diameter.
Yeah, this is probably on the upper end of.
That's about as big as you want to go with it for smaller chameleon species.
Yeah.
That would work well in this habitat. And then in terms of is there a certain type of wood that chameleons like, or is there a? I mean, or just sticks?
Yeah, just kind of sticks, whatever.
I mean, I know it's a silly question. What kind of
tickles your
what
fancy.
Sticks do you like?
You do want to avoid pine trees. You want to avoid pine sap. Okay. That is not good for chameleons. But any sort of dried out deciduous tree stick is good.
Okay, and that's the info I'm looking for, because I would totally just run outside and think pine trees look cool, and then...
Yeah, definitely want to avoid pine trees. But other than that, it's kind of anything is pretty much fair game.
Okay. Stick placement, you kind of just make it happen, and then the plants figure their way around it.
Yep. Carefully stack these sticks in a way that makes sense for the animal that we're going to be putting in there.
Lots of enrichment opportunities. Man, this substrate smells so fresh.
It does.
I can't wait to... We say this in every video where the substrate comes up, but these plants take off like crazy.
Oh, they
in
sure
this living
do.
earth substrate. I mean, you know, I realize that obviously it's us at Leap telling you about our substrate, but this stuff's awesome.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed using it for my plants at my house. I have had a noticeable difference in
Like
growth
even just your house
with
plants,
them.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you use them not just in your terrariums. Hillary puts it in, I mean, she does have a little bit of a connection, but she puts it in all of her houseplants. Like anytime she replants a houseplant, she's putting it in living earth, and
Oh yeah, they are thriving.
so now you got the big stuff in.
Yep.
And I see exposed roots, which is why I'm guessing you save the living earth for more. But what other plants are we gonna put in there? Are you gonna do more plants first, or are you gonna kind of bury those, or how do you like to do it?
I'm gonna put all the plants in first, and then we're gonna top it off with the rest of our living earth that we have.
Right on. So what do we got next?
Let's see. This is a nice tricolor peperomia here, and Tim's favorite,
Pothos?
climbing philodendron.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He thinks philodendrons are better than pothos, and that was in the
Yeah.
whole video. And
Please let us know in the comments which one you prefer.
Yeah, settle a debate
are you
for us.
team philodendron or are you team pothos? Please let me know.
or do you have your own plant that you think's even better that's gonna change our lives?
So another important thing to do and to remember is that plants like this are vining and climbing, so you want to give the plants an area on which to climb too.
Okay.
So I'm going to be putting this over here.
Now, how fast do these actually like vine and grow and everything else? Like, do you end up having to cut these back and?
Oh yeah, yes,
Yeah?
yeah.
Okay.
You can trim them if you want. My favorite thing to do with the clippings is propagate them. So if you clip them at a place with a root node, just pop it in water and make your own plants.
Saves money in the long run, especially
Yeah.
if you're doing a lot of these habitats.
And it's cloning, which is pretty awesome if you think about it. You're literally creating clones.
That's awesome. I know you do those with monsteras a lot too. I was
Sure
lucky
do.
enough to get some monstera clippings for my house, and that was nice.
So if you just start them off like this, they'll just continue growing up the sticks.
Now, do they do like, you know, like ivy? I've got a ton of ivy at my house that just took over the whole back of the house, and when it grows up, it kind of like gets these little
Oh, the feet.
feet, and
Yep.
then they get stuck to your house, and then you have to. It's a real pain. But do these do that as well? Do they get the feet and everything?
They will, yep.
Okay, so they don't just climb based on like wrapping around. They actually do the same.
Yes,
Integrating
they'll-
themselves into the sticks.
They'll put out roots and wrap around, and
That's really cool.
yeah.
Well, so I mean, it makes it so that it's a habitat. I mean, this whole thing kind of becomes one cohesive
Exactly.
structure once it
Yeah,
grows
like
in. right?
everything kind of grows together and lives together, and
I mean, and that's the cool thing about bioactive. It's not just a animal in a box. You now have a little environment that you created, that you designed, that hopefully you can make look beautiful. What's that one?
this is just kind of your run-of-the-mill climbing ivy boy.
Okay. That's the Latin name, of
I
course.
forget the exact name for this one.
But if you
I-
know, say in the comments.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
please.
we're saying the Latin name's climbing ivy boy.
Please remind me. But I enjoy these in the foreground of the enclosures.
It's kind of just a ground cover. I mean, that's more for us than it is for the chameleon, obviously. The
It
chameleon's
is.
going to spend most of their life here.
Yep, exactly.
That's just because we think it looks nice. Which is kind of the cool thing. As long as you pick plants, you know, they talked all about what's healthy for the animals, etc. As long as you pick plants that are not dangerous to the animal, if you think it looks good,
Yeah.
put it in there, because
Yeah. Fire away.
probably not even really going to come down here, so you might as well just pick stuff that you think is pretty, because then you have a nice, pretty habitat.
So at this point, I think we are ready to start filling in here with the rest of our living earth.
I'm always so nervous anytime I plant plants. So I've done chili peppers in the past, like potted chili peppers, because I'm a bit of a chili head. And I'm always so nervous, and I know it doesn't make any sense. Like when I'm repotting them and planting them, I'm like trying to be so delicate, and like realistically, like just cover them in dirt.
Yeah, they're a lot more hardy than you would think that they would be.
Like I'm there like, don't touch the root, don't. You can honestly just kind of plant stuff. And I've learned that over a few years of keeping my own plants. Like, you can chill out a little bit and just get everything in there and make it look good, and it's going to grow.
Yes.
As long as you provide a good substrate, water it correctly, and obviously the light that it needs, it's a plant. Like, they live in forests where things eat them half the time, and they still grow and do very well, so.
And I would like to get a few more sticks to put in here too, to add a little bit more of a canopy.
More climbing, yeah.
But this is all the sticks I have on me at the moment, so.
Your stick collection has been exhausted with all of the other ones we've built lately. We're gonna have to go stick hunting again.
Yeah, it looks like Tim and I are gonna have to take another trip to the woods again.
Didn't you guys come back with literally an entire truck bed full of?
Yeah, we filled the entire truck bed full of sticks.
And that's been the entire reptile room. So one pickup truck bed full of sticks is one reptile room. So if you like finding your own sticks, better start collecting early, I think, is the moral of that story. So we've been talking and not rushing through this and not trying to do it as fast as possible. That was, what, 10 minutes-ish, 15 minutes to plant an entire terrarium. This isn't something that's inaccessible. A lot of people, we've had comments like, should I go bioactive? It seems like it's a lot harder. Is having the living plants in there make it a lot harder? And I think once you automate it too, like with the fogger, the mister, and make that all one little
yeah, it's basically
biotope,
self-sustaining at that point.
like it doesn't take that much longer. And I think number one, in my opinion, of course, it looks a lot better. I think a lot of people who like bioactive think it looks better.
Oh, sure.
It doesn't take that much longer. It's not that much harder work. You watch some of these videos and you can find some great plants to pick out. I mean, heck, feel free to copy ours. Imitation's the biggest form of flattery. If you think that we did good, go to your local garden center and pick these exact same plants, and there you go. You can have a beautiful habitat in your living room or in your reptile room in just a few minutes. So, Hillary, thank you for planting again, and check out our next video. Like I said, I hear there might be another Hillary planting video coming up very soon.
Let's see.
So we'll see what we can do. Thanks again for joining us. I hope you learned a lot about plants and even more about making a great, beautiful bioactive terrarium.